His views on this country, I can vouch anywhere I go, even in my book, with his permission, I'll mention his name. His views, he elucidates in all his papers, is the clearest roadmap to a truly prosperous, united, and better country. On behalf of the Igbo youth movement, we are honoring His Excellency today, Obong Attah. On behalf of the IYM, we honor His Excellency Obong Attah with the award of Great National Icon. For his contributions to national development.
Thank you very much.
And I have the honor to present to you, Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Your Excellency.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So please, we have our candidate respond.
I want to respectfully recognize my protocol, the convener, Pastor Ugochukwu-Uko. I want to recognize our father here, father to some of you, senior brother to me, because I'm only 10 years behind, 81 years of age. Chief Mbazike Amechi, and all the other distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the hall, particularly those members of the Igbo youth movement that have found it possible to evade the obstacles and have been able to come. Yes, in making this response, I have a position to present to you, not a written position, because without meaning to be immodest, I think if I can consider myself some sort of an encyclopedia on what we are discussing today, how to make Nigeria work again. But before, so let me just draw attention to one or two things that Chief Amechi said, which you may not, or which I think requires emphasis. He says today we are living in a country where there is a lot of danger. I want to point out, and I will in the course of speaking to you show why I say so. I want to point out that the greatest danger in the country today is danger to the country itself, because it runs the risk of self-imposed extinction if we are not careful, if we do not do certain things that we ought to do. He also drew attention to the fact of the need for some kind of mass demonstration. We have seen this in Lebanon. It didn't last 1 week before the Prime Minister resigned. We've seen it in Chile, we've seen it in Iraq. We saw it earlier in Sudan, where a young girl on the top of the car was reading poetry, singing songs, and then the head of state had to run out of town. I am not even expecting that we will get to the point of any kind of demonstration. I want to believe strongly that there's nobody today who wishes Nigeria well that does not recognize and accept the need for us to go back to what made us a great country before. So we listened to Chief Achebe, who had said there was once a country. And I'd like to modify that and say that in fact there was once a beautiful, great country, full of promise, full of opportunities, full of hope. But where we are today, we seem to have sunk into a state of hopelessness, and this we must get out of. But to go into the point I want to make to you, I remind you again of the theme of this meeting, which is how to make Nigeria work. For me, that shows that starting from the beginning, we believe in Nigeria. It's just a matter of how to make it work. So if anybody comes and accuses Pastor Elliot or Igbo Youth Movement of wanting to break up Nigeria, he is wrong. What he wants and what we all want is a new Nigeria, a Nigeria that's born again, so that we can be where our founding fathers expected us to be when they formed this, put this country together. Now, what did they put together? They put together a country built firmly on the foundation of true federalism. One may ask, what in fact is true federalism? And I can give a very simple answer. Go and read the 1960 Constitution. Go and read even the 1963 Constitution, when we even became a republic, and we're talking about a presidential system as opposed to a parliamentary system. You will see all the enactments there that form the foundation of what was a true federal system. In a true federal system, I would not be jealous of what's going on in the center, because the center would not really matter to me. The center would be would be there to just administer those of us who have agreed to come together and remain as a country. And we are not by any means the first multinational country in the world. There are a lot of multinational countries in the world, and very, very few of these have attempted to impose one nationality on everybody. One of the most successful examples in Africa was Tanzania. When Nyerere became the president, so he had just inherited a lot of tribes with a boundary drawn around and called a country, but it is not a country. What did he do? He said, first of all, we must have a common language. He didn't go to English. He didn't go to any of the tribal languages. He formed Swahili. He said, you cannot work where you come from. You must go and work somewhere else and consider yourself a Tanzanian, you don't give yourself a tribal origin. You come from Tanzania, you come from Tanzania. He did so many things that just made everybody, after a while, know that all they can claim is that they are citizens of Tanzania, and they start quickly now began to forget about where they came from and so on, other than the fact that they come from Tanzania, they speak a common language called Swahili, and that is an example of a multinational country that became one nation by imposition of a dictator. But it could only have happened because of the size, very small size, very few people, so you could do that. But where you have larger groupings in these multi-nations that try to form one nation, like in Britain, you have the English, you have the Scottish, you have the Welsh, you have Northern Ireland. And believe me, they maintain their identity to a very large extent. They are given a very large measure of autonomy. The laws in Britain are different from the laws in Scotland. They are different from the laws in Northern Ireland. Different from the laws in... If you qualify as a lawyer or even a medical practitioner in Britain or in England, you have to go and sit exams in all these other places before you can practice in those areas. And for those of you who love football, tell me, they don't have a national football team. There's no British football team. You have English team, you have Welsh, you have Scottish. To that they give to sports. They are different, but they decide to come together and be one country. And I think that is the way Nigeria should go. And that is the way Nigeria started. And that's why Nigeria was what it was. Prosperous, control your resources, do what you want to do with it within the law, and improve yourself to the extent that you can. And believe me, there was no jealousy. Because once you generate something and you're allowed to use it for the betterment of yourself, you're not looking at somebody else as having cheated you or should have given you more. It is this give, because we developed a system of sharing, which was brought in by the military. The military's been gone for how many years now? Why are we still keeping this one vestige of the military? The issue of gathering money and putting it in somebody's hand and then distribute. There's nobody however honest, however willing it may be, there's nobody that can distribute it evenly. And there can never be even growth, even development in or even equal means in a federation. But there will be equal opportunities, because nothing stops you from leaving where you come from, coming to where I come from, and be making yourself even better than I can, even from where I am. So this is the kind of thing. Resource control are some of the elements, one of the elements that must be there in a true federal system. Security must be in your hands. That's why today we say there's only one Nigeria police force. But we hear that this state is forming its own security system. This group of states are coming together to secure themselves and all kinds of things. Even the one Nigeria police force being supported by the different governments. So why are we pretending? There's nobody that can protect you better than you yourself. And therefore, security must be in your hands, and state police is an absolute necessity if we are going to have a true federal system. And I'm really jumping here, but I'm going to leave you with a paper I presented. It was an 18-page paper, and it came out as 16 pages in a published newspaper, a pull-out in the Vanguard newspaper, which you can read. And you see my views. I have developed them and expanded them one by one to establish why I think without a true federal system, that danger that Chief Amechi talked about, that danger that I say the greatest is against the state. There's an issue here. The youth must learn to work with the elders if we are to achieve this. If you look at, you are looking at the video of what happened 20 years ago, you will see Chief Chizzy. I'm just seeing that video for the first time, but we're taking notes. He was not the same age as Chief Chukwuemeka, who is also in that video, nor was he the same age as young Mbakwe or even Chief Ugochukwu-Uko. They're all there. There's nothing frozen in time. You are doing the best you can and the most you want, and you're sacrificing a lot to achieve what you want. It would be an injustice to you if tomorrow the younger ones come and say they don't want to work with you because you're now an elder. After all, when you were the youth, you were propagating the same things as they are. So the fact that you want to achieve something, it must be holistic, and everybody must be involved. Everybody must be convinced the same point of view. A house divided against itself is bound to fall. So whatever may have been the grudges, talk to the elders. You can, but with respect. We say in my place that an elder can see sitting down what a young man cannot see from the top of a tree. They do see certain things, they do have certain antecedents that help them to make certain decisions. It is good to understand their mind, how they are working. Make them also understand your mind, how you are working, and come to an understanding of where you both want to be. Because if a new Nigeria comes today, all of us will be in it together. There won't be a new Nigeria for the youth, there won't be a new Nigeria for the elders. So the youth, the elders must find a way of working together so that what we want to achieve will be more readily and more easily achieved than if we work separately. The other thing that sometimes agitates us is this issue of regionalism and what should be the federating units. I have tried to show that if you take one step forward and then you want to take 10 steps backward, you not only stop where you were, in fact you will go far behind where you used to be. So I'm one of those who believes clearly that whether it was the right thing to do, was not the right thing to do, states have been created out of the regions. An attempt to reform those regions, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is not likely to succeed. Not only because the processes by which you do it will be impossible to achieve in your lifetime, but because there's absolutely really no need to do that. You can form regional corporations but as states, let us accept the states as the federating units that come to stay. Tell anybody today to surrender power because you want to merge with another state. See the resistance you'll get. Consider what will happen to the people you'll throw out of work. There's a civil service establishment here with quite a few, in fact, some of them, few hundred thousands of people, if not millions. And then, so if you now combine them, how many people will you throw out of work? Would you want to do that? So let us accept this. Let's start from here. If in future some people want to find a way of coming together, let it be that they voluntarily came together, but let us not make it a condition for us to get to where we really want to be. Because for me, where we really want to be is in a true federal arrangement. And in a true federal arrangement, there's a relationship only between the center and the federating units. And I'm advocating that we should accept the states as they are, as the federating units. Some people say the states are not viable. I disagree. I came here with 2 newspaper articles. One of them, and in fact, only they 1 day apart. Only 4 states are viable in Nigeria. And I looked at how they came to the conclusion. And they're saying the ratio between internally generated revenue and what they collect at federation account is too low. Therefore, they are not viable. But they forget that that thing that's being redistributed as from federation account came from the states in any case. If you are giving them to the states in the first instance and not collected it to the center, that would have gone to increase tremendously the internally generated revenue, which would have made those states, by your own calculation, viable. But apart from that, I don't know any state in Nigeria that cannot be viable, given what we have in every state of this federation. And I'll show you another one, World Facts. And the subtitle is One Small Country in Africa. Seychelles is not up to 100,000 people. It is a country sitting at the UN with you. Less than 100,000 people, followed by Sao Tome and Principe, just over 120,000 people. A country sitting at the UN with you, and you want to tell me that a state in Nigeria, any one of which so much larger than these 2, and they name all of them here, the small states of Africa, that are doing very, very well, including even places like Mauritius. You want to tell me that a state in Nigeria, so much larger than any one of these, with all the resources we have, and the trained manpower, cannot be viable within a federation? They can. You see, these people that said some states are not viable, they went on to actually expose the idiocy of the whole thing. Because they point out to you that one state, and I looked at that particular state, is a much larger state with a much larger population, spends 43 billion on recurring expenditure. A much smaller state with smaller population spends 220 billion as recurring. What does that tell you? It just tells you that we have misplaced our priorities today. And the privileges that we use here, that of the way we spend our money, the way we throw away money, one commissioner, a commissioner in a state executive can have 60-something aides. The governor will have over 100 aides. This is the problem. If you knew that you had only this amount of money to run your state with, you would run it properly and you would be seen to be viable. So we cut down on expenditure pattern, and the way we waste money, and I use the word waste because a lot of it is wastage, and patronage to people that we feel will be able to snatch ballot boxes for us the next election. That is where we have the problem coming. And talking about that, it leads me to maybe perhaps the last thing I want to talk about this election and the ballot system. This presidential system was introduced, I think, in 1963, only 3 years after we had independence. It is not working. We have experimented with it, it is not working. That is why the governor becomes a total dictator. There's nothing a governor wants to do today that he cannot do, because neither the set of commissioners, the executive council, nor the House of Assembly can stop him. Similarly, the president. And in the presidency is even worse, because it is not even the National Assembly that's caging him. He probably has a cabal that's dictating to him and piloting him. So we have a situation, and I ask the question, and I can ask all of you here, when is the last time you had a meaningful discussion with the person that represents you, either in the House of Assembly or even at the federal level? You don't, because they are not made by you. They are made by the party and the courts. Our votes have become useless because we go and vote and we finish, an election result is announced, which we all are astounded at, and then the next minute they go to court and the court pronounces something else to affect what was discussed or what was announced by INEC. So where do we belong? We don't. But in a parliamentary system, you elect somebody from your community to go and represent you. That person effectively becomes the chief executive officer of your community. If there's no school in your community, if the roads in your community are bad, if the health facility is not there, he will know, he will speak for you. I don't know when you yourself know the last time your representative spoke for you, where you are, where they are today. This parliamentary system just does not seem to work anymore. It never really worked at any one time. It served the military properly, yes, because they have only one line of command. There had to be only one head of state appointing people to the government, to the other states to become governors or military administrators. But when you come to the civilians, I believe there's a lot more to gain from a parliamentary system than from a presidential system. And if we now should want to give Nigeria a new birth, what we ought to do is to get ourselves ready for a new constitution. A constitution that will leave out everything on religion. There should be nothing about religion in our constitution. There should be nothing about tribe in our constitution. You should just accept a constitution that is a civil constitution, and it should spell out a return to the parliamentary system, and believe me, we will get a new birth and we'll get a new Nigeria, which would be the dream of our forefathers that worked for everybody, and it worked for everybody. And anybody that says, no, it cannot work today, I cannot see it, because I say this to the labor people. You are happy at uniform wages. What does that really mean? When Nigeria was prosperous, when Nigeria was a federation, the West was paying 5 shillings, the East was paying 3 shillings, the North was paying 2 shillings. Nobody grumbled, because the cost of living, circumstances of life, it differs everywhere.